Derby County are currently in a relegation scrap in the EFL Championship, and they face a massive task if they want to stay in the division. If we look at the league table right now before any fixtures are played this evening, then you'll see that Derby County currently sit on 29 points from 34 games, and the move to safety is 4 points away. However, those teams ahead do have games in hand, and it's going to be very interesting to see if Derby County can claw back their points. Derby County have a tough run-in of their own, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can pick up some points over the course of the next couple of weeks. Even if it's a scrappy win, Derby County just needs something that gives them a little boost of confidence. Now, heading into this run-in, Derby County have 12 fixtures, 6 home, 6 away. It's going to be interesting to see how those two line up. And obviously, if we're going to look at the league table, we obviously face Borough at the weekend. There'll be a preview video out tomorrow evening all about that. And it's going to be very interesting because if you look at the fixtures that we've got available, we face Middlesbrough away, Blackburn Rovers at home, Coventry at home, Plymouth Argyle away, Preston at home, Swansea away, Burnley at home, Pompey away, Luton at home, West Brom and Hull both away, and then Stoke City on the final day of the season at home. Now that obviously sounds like a very difficult run-in, and over the course of the next few weeks I am going to take a look at the other teams in the division and see which teams I believe are within that relegation scrap and which teams aren't. Now obviously, if we do look at those teams that we've just discussed, that we're playing against over the next 12 games, the average league position of that is 13.9. Obviously, we face the likes of Luton Town, who sit below us, Hull City, Stoke and Pompey, who are there and around us, with Plymouth as well. There's obviously then Preston and Swansea in that sort of mid-table area. But then you've got the difficult tasks of West Brom, Burnley, Coventry and Blackburn, as well as Middlesbrough, who are all within that playoff push. Now, if we look at it in a little bit more detail and we split it up to home and away. Now, if we look at Derby County's away form over the course of this season, we know that it isn't that great. In fact, it's terrible. They find themselves 22nd in the division, just 8 points in 17 games away from home, just 1 win. And if in actual fact, Derby County's best possible opportunities of picking up points is away from home. An average league position of 15.5 across the course of those away games, including 4 games against those teams that are sort of probably still within that relegation scrap at the moment. If we say that the relegation scrap goes up to maybe 16th place, which would be Swansea, or on 40 points, 11 points ahead of us. But we all know how the table can flip really quickly in this division. Now, obviously, if we look into the Borough game, are we expecting to get anything? If we look at their current form, obviously they play later on tonight. It is definitely a possibility we get something out of the game, but will Derby County be able to? You look at the games against Plymouth and Hull City and you hope that Derby County can pull up some trees there, but obviously given our form across the course of this season, it's probably very unlikely. The games versus Swansea and Pompey are 2 games where I think Derby County really need to get some points against those sort of teams to drag them back into the fight. And then obviously there's the games versus West Brom, which is going to be a very difficult task. Now, for me, I think it's going to be very difficult to look at where Derby County can actually pick up points away from home. And if I'm going to sort of make my predictions, which in fact I am going to do, I'm going to do it right now with you. Let me just pop up my OneDrive so that I can... I'm going to open up a document, I'm going to write it all down, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I expect, because it is going to be very interesting for Derby County of who they can sort of beat over the course of this run-in. And if I've got the run-in on the screen now. If we say Borough, how many points do I think we're going to pick up in that one away from home? I'm going to say, I say 1. Then we head to Blackburn away from home. We'll go into the Blackburn away from home, in just a moment. We've got Plymouth is the next away game, I think we can get 3 points there. We then go to Swansea a couple of weeks later. I'd be happy with a point on the road. I do feel as if we're going to lose to Portsmouth, unfortunately. We obviously then head to West Bromwich Albion, where I believe we're going to come away with diddly squat. And then we obviously go to Hull. I do believe we will beat Hull the game before the final game of the season. That puts you on 8 points away from home, which would move Derby up onto 37 points. If you had 8 points, I think it's 36. We'd end up on at current moment, which would obviously move us up to 19th in the current predicament, but obviously with more games played. Now, if we look into the home fixtures, 12.3 average position. We faced Blackburn, Coventry, Preston North End, Burnley, Luton Town and Stoke City. Stoke City, obviously the final game of the season. And for me, realistically, the games where Derby County must get something is Preston, it's Luton, it's Stoke. And in my opinion, I think we'll beat Stoke on the final day. I think that we will beat Luton, but I think Burnley, I don't think we'll get anything. I think Preston will get a point, and I think we'll get a point against Blackburn and nothing against Coventry. And I can see us sort of doing that, and that would obviously put us on, what would it put us on? A point away from home, a point at home, versus Blackburn. You then go another point at Preston, that puts you on 2. Nothing versus Burnley, 3 points versus Luton, which puts you on, well, that put you on 5. I think that would put us on, and then 3 points versus Stoke, which would put us on 8, which would give us 16 more points in total, which would put Derby County on a total of 44 points to end the season, which at current is where Queen's Park Rangers are sitting. Now, obviously, these are purely just predictions, and I am just guessing of where Derby County will be, and I'll sort of stick to these predictions across the course of the next few weeks. And I'm obviously interested to hear what you guys think about that as well, because I do think that Derby County can pick up some points, and I think it's going to start with a scrappy one this weekend. I think the Blackburn game, they're going to come in really emotional, and it's going to be an emotional tie because of the situation with John Eustace, but I do think we can get something out of it. Now, the problem is, I think Coventry are a really good side under Frank Lampard. I think they've only lost 3 or 4 times since he actually came in, and he's done an excellent job with them, and I think that's going to be a very, very difficult task. You obviously look at bringing Preston. We should have beat them away from home. We failed. And it's a really, really difficult task Derby County find ourselves in, because the run-in isn't easy and the teams we've got to face aren't easy. Now, I'm not entirely sure the run-ins of the other teams in the division, and that's sort of why I'm a little bit sceptical of where I think Derby County are going to finish. And obviously, I have been sort of very uber positive about the points that I'm dishing out, because obviously dishing out... what is it, 16 points I've dished out, including 4 wins in the next 12 games after the fact that we've not won in 11. It's going to be interesting. Have we won 4 games in 12 before this season? No, we did 4 in 9. So it is very, very difficult. But can we do it? I think the answer is yes. And it all is going to stem on what we do with our squad. Obviously, there's some big injuries, and losing David Ozo is massive. If Matt Clark is out for a long period of time, that's also massive, especially considering when does the season end? Is it the last week of April, I think it is? When's the final fixture? Final fixture is on the 3rd of May at Pride Park Stadium, and that's what? 4 weeks, not 4 weeks away, 12 weeks away? Is it? It's not even 12 weeks, it's 9 weeks, something like that. No, it is 12 weeks, it's 3 months away. So it's a very, very difficult task for Derby to pick up 16 points in 12 weeks, 12 games as well. Obviously, there is a couple of games sort of over the course of quick succession. There's obviously some big gaps as well. Obviously, you look at the last couple of games where we've had 7 days between... QPR and the Millwall game, 7 days till the game at the weekend, and then another 7 until Blackburn before we face Coventry at home on the Tuesday, which is that first split. But it is going to be very interesting to see what does happen. I think John Eustace does have the ability to turn this around for Derby County, and I know a lot of people are going to say, but there's not many positives on the pitch at the moment, and I don't necessarily disagree that there isn't many positives for Derby County to look at and to take at the moment, but we have to try and be positive. We have to try and trust in the process. And the problem that we had before under Paul Warne was that there was no sort of change of idea, there was no sort of thought process, and I actually feel really bad for John Eustace in a sense, because I don't think there's much that he can do with this squad. He's not been able to change anything in terms of playing. Yes, obviously they've changed the coaching staff, but there's not a great deal that he's actually been able to do in order to sort of move the club forward and change the position that it currently finds itself in. And that's sort of the disappointing moment we find ourselves in right now. Now, will John Eustace turn it around? Will Derby County be able to secure a championship status for next season? I couldn't give you a guaranteed answer. I think they're going to get 16 points in the next 12, which is probably that's probably a lot for most people, but that's what I'm going with, and I think I've got to stick to it, because if Derby County can pick up 16 points, I think it gives us a great chance at survival. It's obviously an unlikely chance at survival sitting here right now, and there's nothing to say that these teams around us wouldn't pick up, say, 16 points as well or anything like that, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, obviously, if you have not done so already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll catch you in my next video.